Good afternoon. My name is SHANOLA Hampton, and I am on the television show Shameless. I am a wife and a mother of two beautiful children. I am so excited to be here today. I am so excited that you all are here and joining us. Stories from the Frontline. I got involved in the work to end homelessness because I really think it's so important for us to stop looking at statistics and start thinking about the humans behind the statistics. Thank you to Miss Marilyn Wells, who is a dear friend who invited me to be here today. I am so thrilled to share some of the stories and some of the things happening right here in Los Angeles. Yes, we are live here in Los Angeles. Today you will hear the personal stories of political leaders and service providers, movement builders, and folks who have experienced homelessness and chartered new beginnings. Through their stories, we will explore how combating homelessness is a means of fighting structural racism, and how through activism we can reimagine Black communities in South LA and across LA County. The focus of our event today is South Los Angeles, where almost 4,000 Black Angelenos live without safe, affordable shelter. In addition to being disproportionate victims of police brutality, systemic racism makes our Black neighbors much more likely to experience homelessness. The number is a 30% increase from years before, 30% increase, and is expected only to increase as the economic impacts of COVID continue to affect Angelenos. Today, we will take a look toward the future, recognizing what we need to continue to build a community where everyone is in. That's right, everyone is in. We are so grateful for the support for so many people to make this afternoon possible. I wanted to start by thanking our partners in this community who are tackling homelessness head on. Thank you to the Homeless Outreach Program Integrated Care System, the LA Black Worker Center, Let's Be Whole, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference of Southern California, CHS Speak Up, Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, and Stories from the Frontline. John and Marilyn Wells Foundation, we thank you. We thank you all for your support. We could not make this event possible without you. We could not make our tackle on homelessness possible without you. So thank you all. Now I am honored to welcome two people who I have come to adore. Our first speakers, and who will also act as my co-hosts. Are you in? All right, Mr. Ron Collins and Quincy Coleman, two area organizers from the Everyone In campaign in South LA. Hi, Ron. Hi, Quincy. Oh, I'm so excited you're here. Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourselves and what you've been doing with the Everyone In?
Yes. Well, my name is Quincy Coleman, and I'm a field organizer with the Everyone In campaign. I represent the areas of South Central LA, as well as San Pedro, a good degree of the South Bay, and also Inglewood. But specifically for myself, I started as an organizer with South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, which is actually a component of the Community Coalition. In addition to that, I was also an organizer with SEIU ULTCW at the time, which is currently 2015. Also, I was a part of the LA Black Worker Center as an organizer as well. In addition to that, I'm also an organizer with Everyone In. But with being a part of Everyone In, I'm also an advocate within the community related to the issues that directly affect those who are literally amongst the oppressed.
Awesome. Well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, SHANOLA, for hosting with us. We're gonna have a great time today. Yeah, so I'm a South LA native. I've been doing organizing work for about 13 years now. I got my start with the Labor Community Strategy Center and Bus Riders Union, doing racial justice work and transit justice work. And I'm really here to talk about the intersections of homelessness and kind of how the layers of both racism, sexism, all these things impact our homeless population.
Excellent. Now, you two had a huge hand in choosing the partners and participants for today's events. I want to know how you went about choosing them, how these people are helping to reimagine Black communities here in South LA.
Yeah, I think one thing that we wanted with our partners was to make sure that we had a very intersectional approach, right? Oftentimes we look at homelessness as a single issue, but really it is an issue that intersects on a lot of things. So you'll see that we have folks talking about economic justice, we have folks talking about racial justice, because we really wanted to hit home that these are people, right? When you talk about homeless folks, these are people who deal with sexism, who deal with racism, who deal with economic justice issues. And so really it was about finding partners who were very reflective of the community of folks who are working on this issue.
Yes, I love that.
And one of the things that we wanted to make sure of is that those who are a part of our community are not only putting the voice to the faces that we see amongst the streets, but upon doing that, wanted to engage those who are literally experiencing homelessness right now. And you have some people that may or may not know the severity of what's going on with the crisis, but also to understand what we're about is everyone in. So, just to bring some insight to everyone, is that Everyone In is a community movement built to build the political and public will towards the solutions that we know which works, which is supportive housing and affordable housing. But within that process, we also want to be able to activate those who are amongst the millions within LA County to be supportive of the solutions that we know what works. But within that process, we need to be able to hear the stories of those who are the survivors, who are the service providers, but also who are the advocates. And with this being a community movement, everyone in is not everyone in without the community, and we need to be able to embrace that.
That's right. We're all neighbors. We are all neighbors, and it's not just a single race issue. It's not just a single area issue. It's all of us. It's everyone in as a community. So let's meet some of our neighbors. We'd like to introduce our first speaker, Miss Veronica Lewis. Veronica is the director of Homeless Outreach Program Integrated Care System, HOPICS, where she oversees funding and advocates to improve and coordinate homeless services in LA County. HOPICS offers high-quality social services to South LA with a focus on improving individuals' behavioral health and housing stability. Please welcome your neighbor, our neighbor, Miss Veronica Lewis.
Thank you so much for that energetic introduction. I'm so glad to be a part of this effort. I was born and raised in South Los Angeles. My parents still live in the house they bought the year I was born. For my entire life, I have always worked, worshiped, and or lived in South LA. And so I have deep roots and a lot of love for this community. I think, for me, I've never experienced homelessness. I've never experienced many of the things that the people that we serve face. However, I was born and raised in a community where I was surrounded by people who unfortunately were the products of systemic racism, were the products of a community that was under-resourced and various other types of oppression. And so, I've always been driven to help folks. I've always observed that there is a lot of work to do in our community. And when I graduated from college, I ended up working in the community center in the heart of Watts on 99th and Avalon, and really started to understand homelessness at that point very well. And then, what really opened my eyes is I became a teacher on an emergency credential, and I was teaching young people who had been kicked out of the main LAUSD. And, that really showed me what happens when the support network, family dynamics, and the community at large is broken around you. And so from that point on, I knew that I wanted to do something to help prevent other children from experiencing that and just help strengthen families. And so I landed at HOPICS, and we do just about everything on the gamut of homeless and housing services. And one of the things that makes us unique is that, we are primarily a minority-led organization. More than 70% of the 13,000 people we serve every year are Black. More than 75% of my staff of 300 are Black. And so, many of them are formerly something as well, formerly homeless, formerly incarcerated, in recovery from addiction, or consumers of mental health. And so we understand and have a culturally relevant approach to how we serve folks. And at the core of all this is the fact that everybody deserves a place to live. Having a place to safely live and have a roof over your head and call your own and feel protected is a basic human right. And so all of us, not just HOPEX employees and folks that work in this sector, should care very much, because this is deeply a humanitarian issue that children, men, and women have to wonder what's going to happen to them every night and wonder where they're going to sleep. And, I think that for me, if you don't hear anything else from what I say during this short video, these are human beings. And so you can start by looking them in their eye and not walking over them out of fear, and recognizing the humanity in everybody. And also by having conversations with your family members and your friends and loved ones to help them understand the face of homelessness looks different. There are people that go to work every day that you would never know don't have a stable place to live. There are people who have family members, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, children who love them that for a variety of reasons ended up on the street. And, certainly the government has a role to play. My organization and others like mine have a role to play. But you as a neighbor also have a role to play. So I would implore you to, if you already are part of the effort, stay involved. If you know some folks who have a perspective that's a little bit warped about people who are unstably housed, get them involved and be a champion and have those uncomfortable conversations. And so my name is Veronica and I am your neighbor.
Thank you so much, Veronica. It is a human issue. There are faces. These are human beings. Let's begin by looking them in the eye. That's one way we can start. One of the main reasons why we're here doing this event is to bring awareness and also giving you tools and things that you can use to help make a difference. Homelessness is not just in South LA, even though we're focusing on that today. It's in all of your communities, and there are things, easy things, that we can all do. Let's start by just seeing them as human. Thank you so much, Veronica. It's great to hear about the services that the HOPEX offers in South LA. Now, our next speaker, Miss Nina WOMACK, is an award-winning actress, filmmaker, and event producer from South LA. She is the founder of Let's Be Whole, a peer-operated organization that offers free integrative health solutions to unrepresented populations through wellness programs like nutritional food security, expressive arts therapy, mental health support, and more. Oh, such a good cause. Please, please welcome your neighbor, Miss Nina WOMACK.
Hi, my name is Nina WOMACK, and I'm the founder of Let's Be Whole, which is a wellness organization, and we also provide an organic food pantry and nutrition program. I'm born and raised in South Los Angeles, and I experienced a lot of childhood trauma and experienced PTSD, and all the symptoms that come with that, like drug use and juvenile delinquency and so forth. And later on, when I was in my mid-20s and became pregnant with my only son, I knew that my life needed to transform. So I went on my own self-healing journey with learning about how to release the baggage, such as reading self-help books. I wrote in journals, I talked to therapists, I started practicing yoga and meditation. And as my life began to transform, as I changed my mind, renewed my mind, then all those bad habits started to fall off, like the drinking and the drugs and the smoking cigarettes. Then I started becoming more concerned about my health and eating healthier. So I started eating healthy food, and I wanted to bring that type of program to underserved communities like I have experienced. I went through a toxic relationship, moved someone into my home, my ex, and he turned out to be emotionally abusive. That put me into a state of homelessness because I had to escape that situation in order to keep my sanity. Experiencing homelessness was one of the most challenging situations that I ever encountered. I know what it's like to be food insecure, to go hungry, to wonder about where your next meal is coming from. I remember going to churches, looking up food banks online, and getting the food that I could, which mainly was bread and peanut butter and canned goods that have high fructose corn syrup. And as I became more concerned about my health and wanting to eat better, I wanted to bring that same thing to the community. I get food from Whole Foods, I get food from Trader Joe's, also Food Forward, Farm to People, Crop Swap LA. And I'm very happy that I'm able to supply the community with organic produce, healthy groceries that you would find at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. So I'm in the food recovery business and out here doing the right thing, making sure that people in communities where there are food deserts and where there is food insecurity have access not just to food, but to nutrition, to healthy food. I'm now very excited on my latest venture with the food is I've been asked by the Special Needs Network and LA County Supervisor's Office to provide food for an upcoming event that they're doing in September. And I'm going to feed 2,500 people. Now, I have consistently been feeding about 200 people a week. And now in September, I will feed 2,500 people in one day. So this is a huge step. And I'm bringing in partners to work with Let's Be Whole so we can bring great food to the underserved communities. We all have basic needs, which is food, shelter, water, and love. And always know that Let's Be Whole is here to bring great, nutritious food and lots of love from someone who's been there. Again, my name is Nina WOMACK, founder of Let's Be Whole, and I am your neighbor.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Veronica. From 200 people a week to 2,500 people in one day. Let's Be Whole. From finding herself homeless to the founder of Let's Be Whole. And it's so important to provide nutrition and holistic approaches to our underserved communities. Wow, Veronica, you have inspired me. Thank you for all of your work, my neighbor. Now I'd like to welcome our next guest, Pastor William D. Smart Jr. Now, I'm the daughter of a preacher's kid, so this is one that I'm excited to see. The president and CEO at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference of Southern California and longtime co-pastor of Christ Liberation Ministries in South LA. Pastor Smart is an experienced civil rights leader, community and social services professional. Welcome, Pastor Smart.
Greetings. I'm Pastor William D. Smart Jr., President and CEO of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference of Southern California and co-pastor of Christ Liberation Ministries. I came to Los Angeles in 1998 to pastor a church in South Central. During that time, I saw such an influx of homeless individuals living around our church, always coming to our church for needs and resources. I felt that that was important because as a part of my ministry, being a Christian, I believed in the teachings of Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ came into the world homeless. So I felt that was right down my alley. And also because of my work as a disciple of Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King believed in that America had three great ills, and one of them was poverty. And so we must fight against it and to overcome it each and every day. So I saw a fight, and I still see a fight as a pastor in Los Angeles to overcoming poverty, and that helps people who are homeless. But you know what? One of the things we forget so much is that poverty is caused by lack of jobs. It's caused by lack of income coming in, lack of wealth. And a lot of that is due to a lot of the way America has been built, its housing policies and also the way it has treated black people. White supremacy and white racism is just as guilty for the homeless situation in Los Angeles as any other entity we might want to say. So we're out there fighting. We give people jobs. We work for them to get jobs. We clothe people. We feed them, most importantly. But you know, that's just putting a bandage on the cancer. We have to get out there in a real demonstrative way and fight the entities and help people to find jobs and help people to get in a home. It's awful the way we look around this city and we see people living in tents, living under viaducts, literally living in gutters. That's a shame for us. And we have to do better than that. We have to overcome these obstacles. We must fight each and every day to ensure that people get jobs, people overcome racism, people get off the streets and they get into a house. We need to work to make sure that there are policies in place so that people can live as a human being and not like an animal in the streets of Los Angeles. I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to fight. SCLC, Christ Liberation Ministries, all these other entities are banding together to say enough is enough. Our people must live with their human dignity and respect that each and every person is allowed and must have. I'm ready to do it. I'm hoping you are too. I'm Pastor William D. Smart Jr., and I am your neighbor.
Yes, I am ready. Enough is enough. Thank you so much, Pastor Smart. We are with you all the way. Yes, and yes again. I'm so ready to work. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the need for immediate, safe housing for our neighbors experiencing homelessness, particularly those who are at high risk, such as our seniors. Last year, senior homelessness in South LA increased by 36%, leaving many seniors in need of rapid shelter as COVID-19 began impacting the area. Ron and Quincy, as organizers, how do these statistics play out in real life? And I really want people to understand these are not just numbers. We've heard it in so many messages. We heard it from Veronica. We've heard it from my pastor. These are human beings. These are not just numbers. COVID has highlighted a whole new thing. How does this play out in real life?
Yeah, so one of the ways this plays out in our communities, particularly when we're speaking about senior homelessness, is the impact, the generational impact that it has, right? So if you are a kid walking through your neighborhood and you see an elder who's on the street, you get these impressions that could be you someday, right? So instead of having those positive images of like people succeeding and doing well, that's what you're thinking your future can look like. And so that's really hard for the younger members of our community to see and to grapple with, but also it's about the institutional and generational knowledge that our elders hold, right? So if folks are not happy, housed, and healthy, and able to contribute to the community, then that means that we are losing all this generational knowledge that they have. They've seen things from the civil rights movement to the Vietnam protests and all of these things. And if our seniors are not in a space where they can communicate that to the youth, that is a lot of generational knowledge that's being lost. And so one of the things I really wanted to highlight about senior homelessness is the way that it impacts our communities, right? And the generational way, and the generational impacts that it has.
Yes, happy, housed, and healthy. Take that, write that down, hashtag that, okay? Happy, housed, and healthy. Now, what are some of the misconceptions, Quincy, that people have about people that are experiencing homelessness? And there's a lot of them.
Absolutely. And Shanola, that's one thing that I'm glad that you brought to light, because one of the things is that we want to be able to really emphasize is that homelessness is not a monolithic crisis. Everyone experiences homelessness in a very different fashion. And just as Ron just mentioned a little bit earlier in terms of how this is affecting generational people within different ranges, the reality is that you have those who are literally going to school previously before the pandemic who were literally experiencing homelessness. We have those who are literally working, literally living under someone else's house with their name not on a lease, because technically you would be homeless at that point. But then also, with that being said, You have those who are students who are also experiencing homelessness. So when we look at this, we don't just put it in the mindset of just thinking that those who are literally experiencing homelessness are on the streets. They're literally in your homes. They're literally your coworkers. Outside of them being your coworkers, one thing that people may or may not recognize is that you do have those who are elderly who are on the cusp of homelessness. So when we see that, we have to be able to understand that this hits different factors in different ways. It's not about just it being on the streets, but outside of it being on the streets, it's not about just the numbers itself. The reality is that you do have those who are out there that are not a part of those numbers that haven't been counted. So we have to be able to understand this crisis didn't happen overnight, and outside of the crisis not happening overnight, it won't end overnight. And the reality is that when we have those who are suffering right now, we need to be able to be as proactive towards those solutions and not being conviction to the stigmas of homelessness.
Yes, generations, different, everyone, old, young, and I've seen so many more youth that are on our streets now that people don't realize it's become even more. We have our seniors on one end, and then we have our young people who are also homeless on the other end, and the numbers just keep rising. But we are going to reimagine these communities, and with the help of people like Let's Be Whole and Hopics and you all, everyone in, we are making those strides. And that's why we're here today, because currently 25% of Black families in LA County are currently living below the federal poverty line. And as of May 9th, 2020, nearly 600,000 workers in Los Angeles County have lost their jobs and have no unemployment insurance or any other income replacement, leading to incredible difficulty in paying rent, which is already incredibly high, especially here in Los Angeles. Local organizations are doing everything they can to help prevent this by advocating for the rights of workers and working to combat unfair evictions during this public health crisis. Our next speaker, Ms. VERONICA SANCE, is the Political Education Committee Chair of one such organization, the LA BLACC Worker Center. The LA BLACC Worker Center is a Los Angeles group working collectively to improve the position of the county's Black working class. Please welcome our neighbor, Ms. VERONICA SANCE.
Hi, my name is Veronica Sanse, and I am with the Los Angeles Black Worker Center. I am the Political Education Community Chair, and I am here to discuss homelessness and homelessness in the Black community. I want to discuss, why I personally have become involved in this fight against homelessness. For one, I too have been very close to being homeless several years ago, so I understand. It's not easy, and until you are close to that situation or you know someone personally who has experienced being homeless, then you turn a blind eye and you don't understand. But I understand. After working in 2 homeless shelters, it has made me more compassionate to the plight of the homeless. It has made me want to get out and help to try to work on the solutions to stop this epidemic amongst Black people. And at 60 years old and being unemployed during this COVID-19 pandemic, right about now, if my unemployment benefits are not reinstated, or if they are not paid and the claim has been processed for payment before August 1st, then I'm looking at an eviction from my new owner. He's not going to be compassionate to his new tenants that don't have their rent money due to COVID-19, or because the state of California EDD is so backlogged, they're not processing the claims in a timely manner. I've been waiting over 2 months for my claim to be processed, and I received payment. I've been struggling to pay my rent. And if I don't get those benefits by August 1st, I'm not going to have rent money. And then I'm going to become homeless. And at 60 years old and being unemployed, that's not something that I am looking forward to, nor can I even comprehend it. We need programs instated so that we can put an end to homelessness. We need housing. We desperately need housing for the homeless that are already on the streets, but those numbers are drastically increasing due to COVID-19. And I just ask the politicians to make a change for us. Us meaning the Black community. Make a change for us to be housed in adequate housing. This is a problem. I'm the face of someone that is close to homelessness. My name is Veronica SANCE, and I too am your neighbor.
Veronica SANCE, she's the face. We've talked about statistics. We've heard different stories. We've seen Veronica's story. 60 years old, one paycheck, not coming, homeless. That's our face. That's what we're here for today. Veronica SANCE, our neighbor, a human being, a face. All right, thank you, Veronica. Our communities are created through connection and art in all forms. It's a universal connector. It crosses boundaries, tells stories, and brings people together. That's why everyone in Stories from the Frontline always includes some form of music or poetry. I am so thrilled to welcome to the stage ALOE BLACC, a musician, singer, and philanthropist who was raised in Orange County and got involved in the fight against homelessness. Let's watch ALOE.
The song that I'm going to sing for you is called My Way. It's a song about self-determination, a song about pulling yourself up by the bootstraps and going for your goals, achieving your dreams no matter what the obstacles are, no matter who's standing in your way. I hope it inspires you. I've been sad, I've been lost, I've been down and out and lonely. Yeah, I've been suffering at a job in a world that tries to own me. But when I wake up in the morning, there's an image of a better place. Yeah, because the harder that we grind, then the sweeter is the glory. People say I'm foolish. People say I'm blinded by faith. But if I run out of air, if I crash, I don't care. I'm gonna do it my way. I can make it through this. You can throw the world in my face, but the fear gives me life, and I swear till I die, I'm gonna do it my way. Hey, I'm gonna do it my way. Hey, gonna do it my way. So put me down and criticize me with your lies and with your parody. Yeah, in the darkness I don't hide, cause I got pride that gives me clarity. Said I still wake up every morning with the image of a better life, because the option of defeat is just not written in my story. And people say I'm foolish. People say I'm blinded by faith. But if I run out of air, if I crash, I don't care. I'm gonna do it my way. I can make it through this. You can throw the world in my face, but the fear gives me life, and I swear till I die, I'm gonna do it my way. Hey, 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 hey. Every time they build a wall around tear it down and say, gotta live my dreams. Gonna live my dreams. Even when the flood rushed round to drown me, I'll just hold my breath and pray, let me live my dreams. Every single one of I ain't quitting none of my dreams. People say I'm foolish. People say I'm blinded by faith. But if I run out of air, if I crash, I don't care. I'm gonna do it my way. I can make it through this. You can throw the world in my face, but the fear gives me life, and I swear till I die, I'm gonna do it my way. Let me fly through the air, if I crash, I don't care, I'm gonna do it my way. But the fear gives me life, and I swear till I die, I'm gonna do it my way.
Gonna do it my way. Yes, ALOE, thank you so much. Don't let that fear stop you. Keeping the dreams alive, that's what we're here. We are reimagining these communities that are so affected by the homelessness. We're gonna do it our way. So we've talked about the effects that COVID has had, and we know that our numbers in homelessness are rising, but there is chronic homelessness. 4,000 people in South LA are experiencing chronic homelessness, meaning they have been homeless for over a year or have repeatedly experienced homelessness in their lifetime. A key solution to chronic homelessness is supportive housing, which has proven 90% effective in helping people move forward, people reforming, being homeless, and then finding housing that they can afford and no longer having to be on the streets. What is supportive housing? It's housing equipped with services on site, such as health care and job training, that help people eventually find permanent shelter and pursue fulfilling and meaningful lives. The Corporation for Supportive Housing, or CHS, Speak Up, program supports skill development for people who have experienced homelessness with a curriculum that empowers supportive housing residents to become community leaders. Our next speaker, Dennis King, is a CHS Speak Up peer advocate and health navigational specialist for the Skid Row Housing Trust, where he previously received supportive housing that helped him get back on his feet. Another face, another human. Please welcome our neighbor, Dennis King.
Brotherhood, sisterhood, my family, my tribe. My name is Dennis King, and I'm a CSA Speak Up advocate, graduate, and also member of the TKE, Tenant Knowledge Exchange crew. The month that changed everything. I was sleeping behind my mother-in-law's abandoned car and hustling off of Crenshaw Slauson for more beer and gas. So not really helping people with their gas, but really for more beer and crack money. I was told from the floor up, looking like last month's throw up. The first week, wow, I said, I got this. This is no problem. I kind of dig it. Second week, you know what? I'm living like the car version of the life of Riley. Third week, wow. You know, because when it boiled down to it, it wasn't all that. And a car is not an apartment, and a back seat ain't no bed. The fourth week, y'all, by the time I was going to sleep at 2:30 a.m. in the morning, I heard a thump on the car, and there was a cat at the side window looking at me like, can I get in too? I says, oh, the hell with this. You know, it was time for me to really get a life. I mean, when you got a cat as your roommate, trying to make some changes. A quick backstory, I wasn't raised and educated like this. My mom was one of the first black women to work at McDonnell Douglas on DC 10. This is back in the 1960s. And my dad got hired with the Orange County Postal Clerks, or the post office there, where he moved all the way to be postmaster of Los Angeles from 1976 to 1992. My dad was postmaster of LA. So I definitely was the black sheep of the family, figuratively and literally. Can you believe it? And it wasn't on my personal resume when I graduated high school, Santa Monica High School, to become some, I'll call it crackhead on Crenshaw Slauson. So anyway, through all this, a plethora of jobs, different changes. You know, I thought I would move, but I forgot everywhere I moved, I would take me with me. You know what I mean? So it was like I was fighting the enemy within me. Long story short, after just that cycle, getting paid on Friday, it'd be a crapshoot if I showed up on Monday. So it was time for me to get a life and move into what I needed to do something differently. Okay, when I got hit by this car, which led me into sobriety, I had 440s by the time it was before 10 a.m. in the morning. You know, 30 pounds lighter than I am now. My girlfriend said, get something to eat. I said, no, I'll get some more beer. Ended up crashing, hitting my head on the windshield. They called me the black version of the Elephant Man. I said, I got to do something better with my life, which led me into sobriety. You know, I was doing a lot of praying. I love the Lord. I'm a spiritual man, but I need some help therapeutically. And I got into the AA process of recovery. Can you believe it? I had 2 books. I had the big book, then I had my big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. There, I was able to look at myself, and I was able to see why was I doing these things through the AA process of recovery. And then I moved into the Salvation Army. December 7th, 2007, I went to the Salvation Army, y'all. God, like I said, it barely about 147 pounds. Can you believe I crawled in, you know? But there, after 6 months, I got into the Skid Row Housing Trust housing program, the Shut the Plus Care program. I got my first caseworker. Now that I have Carisha Hamlet, who I have today, my first therapist. Oh my God. She had me look at myself, where I was able to get a life. I went to the downtown mental health and got my first psychiatrist, and then got my job there too. I was taking yoga. And through that class, you guys, I got the job as a peer advocate with the Skid Row Housing Trust, which led me into being a Speak Up advocate for the CSH crew. God, within 6 months on that job, I was up with Diane Feinstein up north, and I was lobbying for HHH&H, traveling with Ann English, Marilyn and crew. And here I am speaking to you guys today. In my close, I would like to say, you saw all these different entities within my life when I got my life together. To stand up in front of you now, to show that this does work, we've got to put our foot up homelessness butt and work in one mind and one accord. You hear me? So, I just want to say thank you so much. My name is Dennis C. King. I am your neighbor.
Yes, it does work when we have support like Dennis received, both mentally, housing support, all of those things to help clean up our streets and get people in houses. What do you say? A car is not an apartment, and a back seat is not a bed. I am so glad you shared your story. Thank you, Dennis, our neighbor. It's so good to see a face that has been helped. It's so good to see how supportive housing can create real change in people's lives and help them change the lives of others, which is what he's doing with his work with CHS Speak Up. Now we have another speaker, Miss LARAE Cantley. She is also a CHS Speak Up advocate and is a co-founder of the Housing Justice LA Summit and podcast. Since being stabilized with housing, LARAE has advanced social justice efforts by working to create policies and systems to best serve vulnerable populations and communities of color in Los Angeles. Please welcome Miss LARAE Cantley.
Hi, my name is LARAE Cantley. I am a CSH Speak Up advocate. See, when I was a child, I grew up in lots of instability, lots of chaos and confusion. It's a clear result of the disparities that people of color have been facing for way too long. I'm a daughter. I'm a mother. I am a neighbor. In 1998, I signed up for housing. I didn't come up on the list until 2012. By that time, I had gotten into an abusive relationship, and me and my children, we suffered lots and lots of trauma. While serving as a social justice activist, in one of our check-ins, I was asked, what was the longest period that you went without sleep? I went 3 days, pacing back and forth, watching my children, hoping that no one would come in while we stayed in an abandoned building. There was others who opened their doors for us, and they would say, You can stay here with your children, but they had no idea how to treat children. What that looked like was my children not being able to go into the kitchen, not being able to enjoy their childhood and play, not being able to go outside and play. They were told, keep quiet, be still, don't do that, don't do this. My children lost a lot. But what I did to make life like an adventure, I took them to the parks, to the libraries, and to the museums. We did lots of outside activities so that I could tire them out before figuring out where will we sleep tonight. When we got our keys in 2012, being able to have that home and that stability, we started to access our healing journey. And what that looks like is accessing mental health services and me getting services for domestic violence. Today, I'm a social justice activist. I am co-founder of the LA Housing Justice Podcast. And with that, I have many connections to lived experience being a part of the solutions with designing programs and services. I'm an intern as a racial equity facilitator at CSH, which is the Corporation for Supportive Housing. And there, we get down to the nitty-gritty of what it looks like to have housing in an anti-racist world. Also, I serve on the Domestic Violence Homeless Services Coalition, where we allow for the advocate's voice to be a part of the intersection of housing and domestic violence. See, before, those services were two separate, and those that were seeking access were ping-ponged all around. Now we're bridging that gap. I also sit on the LASA Lived Experience Advisory Board as the co-chair. What we do there, we help in the funding that goes out to the housing service providers. Today, it is very important to look at how the pandemic is affecting people of color. It's very clear how the health disparities and the poverty rates are affecting everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. You can be a part of the solution. If that looks like you choosing to open your home in the idea of share housing, if that looks like you choosing to be open-minded in the way that you treat your neighbor, whatever it is, do something. My name is LARAE. Housing justice is a right, and I am your neighbor.
Do something. Do something. Thank you, LARAE. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for the imagery of your children. There are so many moms out there right now experiencing homelessness and having to look in the eyes of their babies. And as a mother, I can't even imagine it. So do something. Now, we can talk about reimagining Black communities. We can't talk about that without talking about Black Lives Matter, an organization that works directly to eradicate white supremacy and the structural violence our racist systems inflict on Black Americans. In doing so, they work to create better communities with space for Black imagination, innovation, and joy. Our next speaker, TK Flory, also known as Brown Boy TK, and is an original member of the co-founding organizer of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. Born and raised in Inglewood, California, their preferred gender pronouns are gender neutral, non-binary, they, them, y'all. I like y'all because I'm from the South, so we always say y'all. Y'all or TK. TK has been an organizer in Los Angeles since 2009. Please welcome y'all, TK Flory.
Greetings, salutations, moons of good. I am an abolitionist. My goal as a community organizer is to dismantle white supremacy by rooting us in unapologetic, unconditional, transformative Black love and Black joy. I fight structural and systemic racism for all oppressed people of Los Angeles, California, understanding that what we do in this country's second largest city has not only national implications, but can have a long-lasting global impact. At this time, I would like to personally thank you from my heart to yours for being here with us today in this transformative moment. Before we truly embark on this journey, I would like to ask that we take a collective mindful breath. So please, mind your posture. Recognize any tension in your body. Now inhale, exhale. Thank you. As we relax into our current positions, I now invite you to journey with me. Let's reimagine a world where, as a collective, everyone feels seen, heard, loved, and respected. Can you hear the full belly laughs? Feel the warmth of your heart as it smiles? See the bubbles blowing from teenagers as elders let the sprinklers water their plants and little beings that are playing joyously. This is a future that, as a Black trans queer native of Los Angeles, I yearn for us to earn. I want more than the current sounds of over 100 police rounds of live fire being released into my neighbor's car, who was found dead down the street because for one night they chose to sleep in their car, never to wake. If only we changed the city's budget, they could have had a different fate. Los Angeles has the 8th largest population of Black residents in this nation. Yet here in LA County, we only make up 9%. Alarmingly though, Black residents make up about 20% of the COVID death toll. LA has a $3 billion budget. Imagine what a positive impact we could have if we reallocate half of those funds that are currently being used to heavily militarize public guns on things such as housing, education, mental health resources, medical and fire response teams, as well as drug and alcohol recovery programs. Now, stop, look, and listen. I would really like your attention. We can make this change here today. Please go to www.blmla.org and sign our petition to support the people's budget. It's time to defund the police and reimagine public safety. Remember, when we fight, we win. I am TK Flory, I am your neighbor, and I love you like you are me.
Thank you, TK. I love you like you are me, our neighbor. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who has spoken today. And I'd like to give special note to the Homeless Outreach Program Integrated Care System, the LA Black Worker Center, Let's Be Whole, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference of Southern California, CHS Speak Up. Thank you to those two who advocated and spoke and shared their stories. Black Lives Matters, Los Angeles. Thank you, TK. Stories from the Frontline, and John and Marilyn Wells Family Foundation. With a disproportionate number of our Black neighbors living without housing, it is clear that addressing homelessness is key to combating structural racism, to reimagine and reinvigorate strong Black communities across Los Angeles. As we continue to work toward a future with housing for all, everyone in, we must also stand against police brutality and stand with our Black neighbors in demanding that public resources be used for the good of the community and public health. We must use current events as an opportunity to build momentum and support for affordable and supportive housing in our communities. I will say that again. We must use the current events as an opportunity to build momentum and support for affordable and supportive housing in our communities, both to combat structural racism and homelessness once and for all. And now, I am proud to introduce our final speaker of the afternoon, Elise Buick, President and CEO of United Way of Greater Los Angeles. In 2015, she made history by becoming the first woman to hold the post. Elise is committed to making sure that LA County has enough homes for everyone and that we end homelessness by creating safe, stable, permanent homes. Please join me in welcoming Elise.
Hi, my name is Elise Buick, and I want to thank you so much for being a part of Stories from the Frontline. We know that now is the moment for us all to do more. It appears that America is finally saying enough. No more police brutality, no more racism, and no more disinvestment. In Los Angeles County, although Blacks make up only 8% of the LA County's population, we know that 34% of people on the streets are Black. This disproportionate impact speaks to decades of racist policy that has prevented communities of color from accessing housing. We can and must do more. We must understand how over-policing sets up a vicious cycle of incarceration and homelessness that is not just and is not inclusive. So we pledge at United Way to do everything that we can to change these policies and to advocate for increased resources so that everyone has a home and that no one is paying more than 30% of their income on housing. This is our moment and we must meet it. You can join us in this effort by joining everyoneinla.org and signing up for different workshops and events and advocacy opportunities to make your voices heard. We also know that our community is struggling so much with the pandemic, so we invite you to give to our Pandemic Relief Fund to help those communities who are most at need. My name is Elise Buick, and I am your neighbor.
Thank you, Elise. Thank you. I really have enjoyed hearing everyone tell their stories, tell the things that they have gone through, overcome founders of different, Let's Be Whole is such a huge thing to find after coming from being homeless. And I think many people watching, and I find this often, wonder, what can I do? Sometimes it just seems so big and we've generalized, oh, it's homelessness and the homelessness, it's so bad, it's so bad. But what is there to do? Maybe I'll do, but there's gotta be something tangible that we can leave everyone with what they can do. What do you think, Ron and Quincy?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've heard a lot about is the necessary for funding, resources, and services in our communities. And so at Everyone In, we are part of the Reimagine LA County Coalition. And what that is a coalition of folks who are trying to put an initiative on the ballot in November that would segregate funds specifically for social services. It'd be the first time that our county charter would be amended to have these services. So it's really building upon the works of folks that that we've been talking to. So building on the work of the Black Workers Center, Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. So we're asking folks to go to reimagine.la and you can see the list of all of the amazing community partners and coalition partners who are involved in this effort. And we want you to call your county board of supervisor, tell them that you support this initiative because it's going to be, if it passes, will be more than $1 billion every year going into the same services that we've been talking about. So if you want to do something, make sure that you go out and that you're advocating for this measure.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shanola, and thank you, Ron, for stating that. One of the things that we also want to be able to emphasize is that even if you're not as involved as you may think that other people that are currently watching this particular program right now, there is the opportunity for you to take the incremental steps to be able to get involved. So yes, go to everyoneinla.org. Yes, please check out the most local or even one of the workshops that we're doing, whether it's the 101, 201, 301, or 401. Put yourself in a position to receive the information to put you in a position to be proactive. But most importantly, look at this particular crisis as the opportunity for you to be able to make the change that's necessary for your community. But with doing so, engage your community, engage your family, engage your coworkers. Outside of that, put yourself in a position to understand that this crisis that we're currently experiencing is a human crisis, and housing itself is a human right. So when you do that, you not only create the empathy, but you become the example of the empathy that's needed for this crisis for those who are the unvoiced. What we're doing right now, we don't want to look at this particular crisis as something that's going to just somehow dissolve itself overnight. This is going to take the work and efforts of everyone that's a part of everyone and as a community as a whole. And everyone in is literally that community. We are your neighbors, and we are a community, but with doing so, let's be able to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable to be able to take the necessary steps to be able to go forth as a collective community towards the solutions of supportive housing and affordable housing. Your neighbor may need it, and other neighbors across the board may need it, but putting yourself in that position is necessary for progress.
Excellent. Yes. Neighbors, wear masks. Check on your neighbors. Wash your hands frequently to keep yourself and your neighbors safe. We're together in this. We are a community, all of us. Doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. We are all neighbors. We are all humans. Educate yourself on systemic racism and consider ways in which you can be complicit. To learn more about how you can address homelessness in LA, join the Everyone in LA community calls to discuss what we can do to help, whether it's attending a virtual training, getting active on social media, or attending a peaceful protest. I am so happy to have had this moment in time with you, Ron and Quincy. Thank you for joining me and looking as dapper as you do, and for all of your work with Everyone in. We want to be in with you. We are your neighbors. We are now familiar. I expect that those numbers are about to blow up. Am I right? Together, we can create communities that ensure residents of South LA and all of our neighbors have safe places in which to live. We can emerge from this crisis and this movement with our Black communities stronger, safer, and supported to thrive by our non-Black neighbors and leaders. We can create a city where everyone is in. Everyone is in. Everyone has a home. Because a car is not an apartment and a back seat is not a bed. Thank you for joining us today to hear the lived experience of those who have experienced homelessness and the work taking place to end homelessness in LA. My name is SHANOLA Hampton, and I am your neighbor. Thank you all. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Gwen. Neighbors!
Almighty, 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 Alone, Almighty, 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 Alone, Almighty, 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 Alone, Almighty, 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 Alone, Almighty, Alone, Almighty, Alone.
I've been made new, there's nothing you could do about it. I'm living proof of how the truth will bring the change about you. Rearrange your thinking when love starts to sink in. Takes away the heartache and the pain, getting deeper. Replace it with forgiveness. I hope you get this. Realign your purpose, see a whole new vision. When you rearrange your thinking and love starts to sink in, it takes away the heartache and the pain, getting deeper. Replace it with forgiveness. Man, I hope I get this. Realign my purpose, see a whole new vision. Maybe start my own business. Living is so relentless when you knowing what your worth is. You see the tables turning, I don't trip up on them haters. Tell them I see you later. Don't worry about who tripping, just stay focused on ambition and walk into the favor as I step into the season, knowing everything happens for a reason, saying Almighty, 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 O Lord, Almighty, 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 O Lord, Almighty, 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 O Lord, Almighty, O Lord, Almighty, O Lord.
This life that I live, I can't do this on my own, but when I gave it to Him, all my problems made me strong. I feel so good in the end because I I know I'm not alone. I can always call on him, and I don't even need my phone. This God that I serve, he has turned me to the better when I've been in the dirt. And all my burdens felt so heavy, but he's lifting my hurt. Just know that sin ain't really dirty, but Jesus died for it first. Yeah. Go repent for all your sins, don't act like they wasn't yours. He seen all you did, who once kept it from getting worse. The Lord's protecting his kids, just make sure you wait in the water's coming back for all his. So don't make his decision hard, he's only taking his kids. The obeying sons and daughters, so let his light shine along his. And make sure you praise your Father, let his light shine through you. And follow the Lord's commands. Now you seeing the real you, starting to follow in his path. And you feel when he heals you. Yes, God, you the man. Yes, God, you the man. Yes, God, yes, he can. Yes, God, you the man. Yes, God, you the man. Yes, God, yes, he can. Yes, God, yes, he can. Almighty, almighty, almighty.